Okay, so in today we learned how to use these area models to break apart a multiplication into partial products. And so instead of like lining up the decimal points and doing all that stuff like we would with adding, we break it up into little pieces and add up the pieces. And so let's take a look. So in this one, I have that I'm going to write right on this. I've got 3 times 1, so A is going to be 3. And then I have 3 times point 0.4, which 3 times 4 is 12. And then there's one decimal place, so it'd be 1.1.2. So I've got a 3 here. I almost tried to write that. I have a 1.2 here. 1 2/10. And then when I add them together, I end up getting 3 plus 1.2. It ready to go 4.2. Submit. And so then I go to the next one. And what did they do wrong here? 5 times 2 is definitely 10. 5 times 0.7, 5 and 7 tenths, is 35 tenths, or 3 and 5 tenths. That works. 2 times 2 tenths is 4 tenths. Oh, it's this one right here. Oops, oops, oops. You've got 0 and 7 tenths times 0 and 2 tenths. When you multiply that out, you're going to end up with 2 decimal places in the question. You have to have 2 decimal places in the answer. So 7 times 2 definitely is 14, but then you end up with the decimal point should be over there. It should be 0.14. And so that's what I would write over here. So I go to my typewriter or my keyboard, I go 0.2 times 0.7 equals 0.14, 14 hundredths, not 1 and 4 tenths. Oops, grabbed the wrong pen. And so we move on. Wait, okay, it transferred it over. So what is the real value? I would have 10, and I'm going to put 2 zeros. I'm going to put 2 placeholder zeros. The next biggest shape is that 3 and 5 tenths. Line up the decimal points as I go. Not a 1.4. I've got a 0 and 4 tenths. And then finally I have a 0 and 14 hundredths. When I add up that, I got 4, 10, carry the 1, and then I end up with 14. I end up with 14.04. Oops, I missed the decimal point. 0.04. And then submit and explain. Well, man, I just did it. I'm going to write C work because it's right there. Draw an area that represents 2.5 times 1.4. I just use a generic rectangle. Ooh, I had a line tool on that one. That's pretty cool. I did not intend to draw perfectly straight lines because my box is not normally perfectly straight like this. Okay, let's get a pen tool and go to like blue. Okay, 2 and 5 tenths. I would write 2 and then I write 0 and 5 tenths. 1 and 4 tenths, 1 and 0.4. Then I've got 2 times 1 is 2. 1 times this is really nice because it's just the thing. 2 times this is 0 and 8 tenths. And then lastly, 4 tenths times 5 tenths is 20 hundredths. And then I would add those numbers up. That's not always like they pop up in random orders depending on the numbers that we're using. But I always try to make I always try to go from biggest to smallest. I add all this together and I've got 15, a 0. I've got a 15, carry the 1 as a 3. So I actually get that it's 3.50. I have a 0 at the end. because in the original problem there were 2 decimal points, the point 0.5, point 0.4. I needed to have 2 decimal points in my answer. Your calculator is going to say it's 3.5, but that is not. Okay, so this one's really weird as a box. I've got a 0 and 34 hundredths. So I'm going to break that one up into 0.3 and a 0.04. But then my 200ths, I'm going to have a 0 and then a 0.02. So this is 0, this is 0, because anything times 0 is 0. But then I've got 2 times 3 is 6. That is true. But I've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then, wow, I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4. So 0.0008. When I add those together, I've got 0.006 plus 8 10,000ths. I get 68 10,000ths. 0.0068. Oops. Well, I could have put a 0 there. It doesn't matter. 0, same thing. And because there were 4 decimal places in the question, I had to have 4 in the answer. Next. Tarika, this is a subtraction problem. I line up my decimal points. 1 and 5 ninths, or sorry, 59 hundredths, $1.59. We're talking about money now. I borrow from the dimes. I get 15 pennies minus 9 pennies is 6 pennies. 6 dimes minus 5 dimes is 1 dime. $1 minus. I get that it's 16 cents. Oops. 16 cents, not $16. 16 cents change is what you should get. 0.16. Submit. And then another spiral review. Ooh, okay. To add something plus 5 equals that 2, I'm expecting it to be a 7, because 7 plus 5 is 12. Carry the 1, 5, and then this is 2. Okay, and then over here, to get a 4, this one would need 14. It would need to be a 14, which would be 6. Carry the 1 is 8, 9. And then 0. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. Let's see how I did. Yay! Got them all right today. And so if you have any questions, ask in class. If not, I'll see you in the next video. Oops. Uh-oh. Where's my stop button?